Hello and welcome to Kemet Capital, the community of holders and seekers of African capital. I'm your host, JS, and you guys already know before we start, we begin with our word of affirmation, our guiding principle. Jacob and Douglas function, guys, on our way to make Africa great again is through economic might, economic power. And in order for us to achieve that goal, we need to produce more in a more efficient way. All right, guys, today we're going to react to this video pertaining to the K in our formula, which represent the factor of production or physical capital. All right, let's jump into the video and react as we go along.
Holdings and Dangote Group have agreed to build a 2.5 billion US dollar urea fertilizer plant in Gode, Somali region. The facility will have a capacity of 3 million metric tons annually. The project is one of Ethiopia's largest industrial investments and hopes to reduce reliance on imports and position the country as a regional fertilizer hub. To unpack this and much more, we are now joined live by Mered Fikido Johannes, founder and the CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory. Thank you so much, Mered, for joining us on this great Friday evening.
The show, as always.
Quite a big investment, 2.5 billion US dollars, sinking into what will be one of the largest fertilizer plants in Africa. What does this mean really for the agricultural sector, considering that fertilizer costs have been a huge component when it comes to input costs?
All right, guys, before we start, this video, I found this video interesting because it highlights the importance of cooperation. It highlights the fact leverage our different skill sets in order to achieve growth, right? You see this project right now that we're discussing today is an investment from the Ethiopian Sovereign Wealth Fund and in partnership with Dangote Group. All right. So they are trying to produce urea. Urea, it's one of the major fertilizer used in agriculture. And we know how important the agricultural sector is for our economy in Africa, but also for for food security. It's important that our population is able to feed itself and to have enough energy to produce more, basically. So yeah, guys, we need to be working together, leverage each other's skills so that we can build from regional powerhouse to global leaders. All right, let's discuss and continue.
Yes, absolutely, Abby. I think this is a huge milestone for Ethiopia in terms of food security, in terms of saving its foreign currency, in terms of also the government saving its budget. So just to give you a bit of a context, in Ethiopia, we have around 13 million of farmers living in Ethiopia that produce more, that produce the 30%, 36% of the GDPs of agricultural output. So fertilizers is a key input next to the fuel, right? So as a country, we import around 1.5 million metric to close to 2 million metrics annually, and we spend around $1.9 billion annually to purchase all these fertilizers. So mind you, having this facility within the country, the first thing is save the country's foreign currency in terms of balance of payment. And the second thing is that the government is paid way too much in subsidizing this fertilizer to the farmers. So it saves the government budget. And then at the same time, at least from a country's perspective, this facility is going to become a urea fertilizer complex. And one of the things is Ethiopia has a very diverse set of landscape. So the fertilizer needs has to be catered to the country's soil type, right? So having this kind of facility, producing it within your country, alleviates a number of problems. So from all these aspects, I think from all these aspects, it is a huge benefit for the country. And I think truly it's a showcase where Africans are investing within Africa.
Mhm.
So having mind you, this is a comprehensive shareholder agreement. It's not an MOU, it's not an announcement, it's not an intention. It is a comprehensive shareholder agreement where Dangote Group and the Ethiopian government has agreed to where the government would get a 40% stake and the Dangote Group would get 60% stake, where both of the parties will finance, develop, construct the fertilizer plant. And mind you, the country has already natural gas. Natural gas is one of the key inputs for a fertilizer. So, and then as part of the development, a pipeline will be built, another 100 kilometers of a pipeline will be built to Gode to carry the natural gas to the fertilizer plant. So all in all, this would position Ethiopia as to become one of the biggest fertilizer exporter eventually after satisfying the local need. And given the project size is $2.5 billion, it would put the plant it get to be constructed and finalized and starts production, it'll be one of the top five global biggest fertilizer plant in the world.
Wow, guys, this is huge. Can you imagine that? Having the top five fertilizer plant in the world in Ethiopia? That's huge, guys. Some of the elements that Meret highlighted in terms of saving for the Ethiopian government are very crucial because they'll be able to save first of all on foreign currency. You know, in order for them to purchase like fertilizers from countries like Germany, China, you need foreign exchange. You need foreign currency to purchase in euros or in yuan to get those goods. But now that the production is local, you save on those foreign currencies, and it improves your overall trade balance. The second element, he says that before, actually at the moment, the Ethiopian government subsidizes a lot of fertilizer for their farmers. He explained that for agriculture in general accounts for, I think he says something like 36% of the Ethiopian GDP, which is huge, guys. It's over a third of the GDP allocated coming or stemming from agriculture. So to have one of the major, input in that industry, which is the fertilizer, I believe it accounts for or close to 50% of the cost for each farmer. It's fertilizer. So to have that cost reduced, basically also reducing the subsidies that the government is distributing to that sector of the economy. So now they can use that budget for other activity, for other uses like education, healthcare, military spending, and so forth. So at least they have the choice, right? And it's also important the fact, like he highlighted, that this is a partnership between Ethiopia and the Dangote Group. So basically, the partnership he says it's a shareholders agreement. So the Dangote Group will hold 60% of the shares, and it will provide, the Dangote Group as a developer and operator. They will develop. Dangote Group at that develop, construct, operate, maintain, insure, and finance the complex. Also provide industrial expertise and leadership, because you guys already know the Dangote Group brings decades of expertise and experience in large-scale industrial and fertilizer projects, including managing one of the world's largest urea plants in Nigeria. So they already have an experience. They already experienced in the sector. So the partnership, it's a win-win situation, right? And also, the second element that Dangote will handle is the strategic infrastructure implementation, because you guys know, maybe you don't, in the production of urea, basically it's come from natural gas. It comes from methane. So you get methane, you inject water vapor into the methane. It gives you monoxide of carbon monoxide, other like chemical components. All in all, you get into all in all, the chemical process gets you to ammonia. Now you inject dioxide of carbon and you get urea. I'm not going to go through the chemical process, but so basically it's that you need natural gas produce urea. And you also need natural gas to heat up the water that will produce the steam that will be added to the methane to create, the first component into the production of ammonia that will later on be used to produce a urea. So having, natural gas, it's the major input in the production of urea. That's why in the world in general, when natural gas prices go up, fertilizers will also go up because natural gas, as I explained, is one of the major input in the production of that fertilizer. So to have those two entity, which is the Dangote Group and the Ethiopian Investment Holdings, which is, as I said, the sovereign wealth fund of the Ethiopian people. So you have to understand that this wealth fund manages over 45 billion in assets under management, making it one of the largest sovereign funds in Africa. And this fund represents 45% of Ethiopia's GDP. You guys already know in this community, a couple of weeks back, we discussed the sovereign funds in Nigeria on the continent in general. So you have South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Morocco, and Kenya. Those are the five, other prominent sovereign funds other than Ethiopia that we're discussing here. So all in all, it will be an amazing partnership, right? I'd rather to have Dangote Group instead of a group like Total, instead of the group like British Petroleum, because it's African holders. It's African capital for African economic development. So I'm all for it. That's why I wanted to share this video with you guys. You guys will let me know what you think in the comments. But we need to see more and more ventures like that. You know, two regional powerhouses within the continent, joining their forces, like in this case, this joint venture between the Ethiopian Investment Holding and the Dangote Group to create this massive conglomerate that will be the fifth uh, largest, fertilizer plant in the world, located on the continent. Apparently, Nigeria already has one of those other five. So, all in all, on a continent where agriculture is so prominent, occupying this large swath of the population, to have one of your major costs being produced locally, it's a game changer, guys. It increases efficiency, it increases productivity for everyone within the market, because that fertilizer, as he said, as Meret said, the production capacity of that plant will be larger than what the Ethiopian farmers can consume. So Ethiopia will become a net exporters of fertilizer, which is huge because you have other countries like Kenya, which is nearby, with the agricultural industry. They produce a lot of teas, they produce a lot of flowers in that region of the continent, but also all over the rest of the continent. Guys, I'm gonna reiterate the fact that agriculture represents a large chunk of the the wealth that we produce on the continent. So to have that, you know, cost item being produced locally, that means, even in terms of foreign exchange, it'll be more advantageous for African country to purchase directly for countries like Nigeria or Ethiopia. And all in all, great partnership, guys. We need to see more of those. We need to see those regional players cooperate, guys. We need to be able to cooperate, right? We need to be, as we say in this community, power is organized effort. We need to organize our effort to create more power and ultimately to improve the economic condition of the African people. That's what we're here for. That's what we want to advocate. That's what we want to educate the people about. And ventures like this, gives a jolt to my heart, because this is what we want to see. We want to see more of those ventures. We want to see more of those, initiatives within the continent and within African, players.
Mered, well captured, and clearly this is a game-changing project when it comes to investing in food security for the continent and also for Ethiopians. But looking at the crux of the matter, right now, talk to me about the food prices, inflation in Ethiopia, and of course, with the cheaper costs around fertilizer, this is likely to also impact the food inflation down the line, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why no, I don't want to reply for Meret, but we already discussed the fact that it will improve food security, so reduce inflation, food inflation. Guys, the most prominent type of inflation, or at least the inflation that hurt the most a household, is food inflation, because you have no other choice than to eat every day. Sometimes you can take your bicycle if you don't want to use gas. You can find other alternatives for different type of product or services in the market, but food, you need food daily. So when you have cost inflation in food, it has a bigger impact, on the individual household and at an individual level for each country. So I think this fertilizer plant, when it's up and running, will be a great boost towards food security in Ethiopia in particular, and the neighboring countries, and the whole continent, maybe in a couple of years in general.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the biggest benefit it has is it reduced the cost of fertilizers, right?
Hmm.
So for farmers, on average, they spend around 50%, 50% of their
Oh,
inputs
yeah.
on fertilizers. So it significantly reduced the cost. It significantly reduced the cost of food. It significantly also reduced the cause of inflation, right? So still there is a number of reform as a country we need to do. So, but however, once this plant start production, having those 3 million metric tons of fertilizer within the country, it definitely secures the Ethiopian's food security as a nation.
And
And also another element is that you improve yields. If your land is more fertile, you have a bigger uh, your your harvest more crops, and maybe your crops will also be a bigger quality. That will command a higher premium in the market, depending on the product that you're selling, the crops that you're selling. So all in all, fertilizer not only reduces the cost, it also increases productivity, and ultimately the quantity of crops that a single piece of land can yield and return.
Of course, Dangote Group has been punching high above. And looking at this latest project that they are working with Ethiopia Investment Holdings, it signals slightly some more businesses that might be eyeing Ethiopian market, considering that
Hmm.
Ethiopia has already kicked off a privatization agenda and it is
Yep.
beginning to pay off.
Yes, definitely. So, the investment arm of the government is the Ethiopian Investment Holdings. So it has a number, has more than 40 portfolio companies, which was already managing. And mind you, this is not the first deal that Ethiopian Investment Holding is going through. There's a number of UK companies and also other companies that already Ethiopian Investment Holding is engaged. But it shows that the Ethiopian government and Ethiopia as generally is ready for business.
Yeah,
The Ethiopia is
attracts
ready to
capital.
accommodate mega projects such as
Mm.
this, and the government is willing to work with the global community, and more importantly, in this case, with the rest of Africa, because this fertilizer plant has been in the discussion so many years, but having it done with the African champion of Akiko Dangote,
Mm.
it shows a true case where Africans are investing within the continent.
Mm.
And
Mm.
looking at the Dangote Group, of course, they have vast interests across Africa, over and above having
Yep.
the latest investment he did put in Nigeria. This is the oil pipeline that has
Yep.
been able to sort of stabilize fuel prices within Western Africa. And is there any talk around any deals that could also be aligned around oil with Ethiopia, or perhaps even in the aviation sector?
That would be huge. That would be
Well,
great.
that's going to be yet to be seen. I'm sure the Dangote Group is definitely is exploring those ideas. But one thing is for sure is that once this plant is finalized, this plant is going to be gradually grow into a petrochemical industry as well. That's definitely the plan, because having the key natural resource, which is the natural gas, is very much important. So not only Dangote Group is going to do the fertilizer plant, but also a petrochemical industry is going to pop up. So, the question that you raised possibly is going to come too, but we'll see. I mean, Ethiopia has a lot of fuel potential, but it's yet to be seen. But one thing is for sure is that this is a key asset for the country
Yeah.
because, it has been a huge trouble in terms of where 120 million people having one port and importing 2 million metric tons of the fertilizer from abroad is a huge logistic headache. Mind you, when we transport all this fertilizers, sometimes vehicles has to be diverted and to private vehicles has to be converted or converted to carry the fertilizers immediately to take it out of Djibouti. So we
All
have
right.
a logistics issue, and then also subsidy issue. So all these things, having it solved within one project is a critical thing. I think this is the
Yeah.
next key project after the Grand Renaissance Dam, which Ethiopia is going to finalize this coming September.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mered Fikiro Yohannes, the CEO and founder, Pragma Investment Advisory.
All right, guys. Interesting conversation as always. My takeaway here is that I'm glad, I'm happy to see a venture like that comes into fruition. I love to see African working together, cooperating, you know, making the pie bigger so that each slices are also bigger. So all in all, great project. I hope that it comes into fruition and helps all the farmers across the continent. And I wish to see more projects like that in different sectors, having different players from different region and from the continent, working together to improve, the efficiency of their respective sectors, or create new markets for the continent. So, guys, you guys let me know what you think in the comment, and be safe out here. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.